Hey everyone, RompSteel here with game number two between myself and Lord Aragorn. So of course I'm the shadow player this time because I was Free People's first time. Um, yeah, not too much to say. It's always discouraging to go down the first game anyway. Naturally, you want to. Um, yeah, it's just an extra little bit nerve wracking when it's like if I lose this game, I'm out of the tournament. Um, okay, so I start with Monstrous Roused and Palantir. Palantir is a great card to have turn one. Monstrous Roused is kind of eh. Um, Interesting. He has some pretty tempting, like Gwai here and Last Battle specifically together. That's like I know no one ever plays Last Battle, but that's a cool combo to get on turn one for maybe doing something fun with the Separating Strider anyway. So I do my usual zero eyes. Very sadly, only get one muster. Um, I'm quite glad that I rolled at least one eye though, because rolling zero eyes against three movement is sad because then they can use a ring and move a fourth time, and that's a pretty strong start for the Free Peoples. So they move and they're safe. I get Saruman to war. He moves again. I hit him, and that's drawing a three is just about the worst case scenario. Because they get full value for killing Gandalf and they're not revealed. So that's always a bummer. Like I mean, it's okay if you're planning on hoping to corrupt the Fellowship or corrupt them enough to slow them down, because at least Gandalf's out of the way now and you can try to hit the Fellowship some more. But I'd still rather not hit them, or even better, draw zero reveal. But anyway, he moves again, which I think makes sense. You just got to run sometimes. And now he gets the zero reveal. And he reveals into Moria, which I get a little bit excited about because, like, as a shadow player, if they reveal into Moria, the odds of getting to do some nasty corruption things to them are a lot higher anyway. So he draws a 1R, takes the 1 damage. So they're in okay shape anyway. They've lost Gandalf, taken 1 hit, but they're in Moria, so I'm hoping to draw some cards that might reveal them, or Balrog or something. Yeah. I keep shuffling my armies along. Okay, so War with Zor and Toil is a good card. It's not particularly helpful for actually hurting the Fellowship right now. Let's see. Wow, Challenge of the King and Riders of Theoden. These cards really want him to separate companions and do some cool stuff. That's pretty cool. Okay. So I allocate 2 eyes. I'm going to think about this one for a while. Because, they're in Moria, and if I only allocate 1 and then I don't roll another die, then it's pretty safe movement for them. But that second die just guarantees that I get the 2 re-rolls, right? So that makes it, 4 dice that hit at 6. So, and then I add another eye. So he moves, which makes sense. Like, if you're going to get hit and revealed on the way out, better to do it before I can play Balrog or before I can play a hunt draw, a tile drawing card to try to reveal them again. But I don't hit him, so I'm pretty sad about that. It feels really bad, like allocating an extra eye and not getting anything for it. Hey, that's why you never ever go for corruption. Just don't do it. Just yeah, I was kicking myself pretty hard right there. Just like, Bob, don't do it. Don't ever do it. It's always a bad idea. Not actually always, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we move the Fellowship again, and is safe again because I moved these orcs out, so I don't get that reroll anymore. Um, so that was very sad for me. See, I thought about leaving the orcs there, but then I thought, you know what? I thought he probably just wasn't going to move again this turn. So I thought I might as well just keep moving along. And I thought even if he did, then I've got 4 dice that hit at 5s to hit him. So, like, what are the odds that that 1 die is the one that makes the difference? Apparently pretty good. So here we are. Yeah. Um, I also specifically wanted to get troops in there first because he has this H die, and I can't get Sauron to war right now. I have 1 muster, and I want to use that to bring in Saruman to get my other die. So if I use it to get Saruman, he could move some elven troops into Dimril Dale here, and then these armies can't attack this turn. So that would make it more difficult for them to unite efficiently and then attack Lorien. So I specifically wanted to move troops in there first, just so that he couldn't move there first. Okay, yeah, so I get Saruman. Um, so we consult the rules just to make sure that you can, in fact, separate companions from within a shadow stronghold and move. And he sends Gimli all the way to Erebor. So it's pretty lucky, actually, that he moved that second time to get enough movement to do that. And then, what do you call it? Didn't get revealed. Although, I mean, of course, there's always a decent chance that if you can get hit and not revealed anyway. But anyway, that's a pretty cool move because, like, obviously, I'm coming for Dew, so Gimli can help get the dwarves to war faster. Or if you pick up Book of Mizarble, then they're a war. I remember thinking he probably already had Book of Mizarble to do that because if not, like, you could also just plunk Legolas and Lorien. Um, but I guess I'm probably about to put the elves to war anyway, so never mind. Gimli makes way more sense. Um, okay, so right, I shuffle that army over there, so I have these two, as ready to go for attacking the elves as they can be without Sauron actually being at war yet. So this is the kind of turn where if I don't roll any musters next turn, it's the end of the world. So he gets Axe and Bow and Pass of the Woses. I get Lidless Eye and Rage of Dunlendings. He declares out of Moria. Always satisfying to get to just walk out of Moria without getting revealed. That's always nice. So I get my musters, so that's nice. He gets his Will of the West. I'm very sad about that. Especially in a tournament, it's nice to get one of those games where they just don't get Gandalf until like turn 8. Um, he gets Gandalf, or no, he undoes that, and he moves the Fellowship first, which that makes sense. I'm nowhere close to being able to play Day Without Dawn, so you might as well move first before I put rerolls on you. Yeah. So he moves and he's safe. So I get Sauron to war. Only one attack for me this turn. So since the Fellowship's been in such good health, I really, really need to, rush with the military. And rolling only one attack this turn is pretty. That doesn't feel good. That does not feel good at all. So he just gives me a ring right away, which is reasonable. Because obviously you want to use that will to bring in Gandalf. And any wills you roll next turn, you might have other things you'd rather do with it anyway. So, yeah, might as well give me a ring now instead of letting me redraw for a few turns, and maybe just not rolling Wills of the West and then giving me a ring for it. So, I just draw a card. Interesting. I'm a little surprised I didn't play Worn with Sorrow and Toil or Pits of Mordor. I think Worn with Sorrow and Toil would have been a very easy choice there. Or I don't know. I think I was specifically as wanting to keep moving here, and I was hoping for Swarm of Bats because he cycled enough strategy cards that I was thinking there's a good chance he has scouts. Oh no, I extra wanted Swarm of Bats because I thought he had Book of Mizarble at the time. So I was thinking that if he does play, Book of Mizarble with this Palantir, I would really like to be in Dale so that I could put Erebor under siege and hopefully not let him muster too much next turn. So I was really hoping for Swarm of Bats so that I can kill this guy and not let him scouts away to Erebor where he'd bring the leadership and make it even stronger. So he brings in Gandalf naturally. I guess I forget about that plan and just put the elves under siege anyway. And now I play Pits of Mordor. Plays Axe and Bow. Interesting that he plays Axe and Bow. Well, I guess that makes sense. I would have been tempted personally to use that H to keep moving armies along. Um, because he threw out a die with a Palantir to get rid of. Threw out a die with a ring to get rid of Palantir. So I might have thrown away the Palantir die and kept the H and moved that dwarf into Erebor and this army if it affords Eisen. But I mean, playing axe and bow so that you can move even more recklessly next turn, that's important too. Okay, so he draws into Power 2, great. That's a really nice draw for him. Shadows Gather and Grond, those are great cards too. Okay, so 4 attacks, that's certainly better for me. 2 movement for him, that's pretty average. Hit him this time. 1 reveal. So now I attack Old Forest Road, and I'm very relieved to see that he doesn't have scouts. I was kind of expecting scouts by this point. Quite happy to kill it though. He hides, put the Woodland Realm under siege, moves again. And let's see. Right, so I want to put the elves to war, of course, so that I can use this muster to bring in the Witch King. I guess Woodland Realm makes more sense because I have more leadership there. And like the odds of Thranduil or Celeborn showing up to make my life harder is about 50-50. And like as to which one shows up first. And I need this army to be in better shape because there's better odds I'm going to need it to try to finish off Erebor than this army. This army is more likely to, I'm fine if they get whittled down a bit more. They're just going to sit there until the end of the game anyway, probably. Okay, so I play no card. Right, I guess it's because I only have 1 combat card, and I want to save that for after I bring the Witch King in, so that I get a redraw. So he plays Daylight, so I'm quite happy I didn't play Desperate Battle into that anyway. I get 1 hit, about fair. He gets 1 hit, also about fair. I don't press. I guess I'm just planning on playing Grond and then Monsters Roused at this point. He draws a card. Now he gets the Scouts. Oh, that's a bummer. That's frustrating right there. But still a great card to have, of course. Bring in the Witch King. I play Shadows Gather. Oh yeah, that was a cool trick. Because Pits of Mordor, that's 4 orcs there instead of 2 now, and I left an orc there in Old Forest Road, so that gets to conquer Carrick and bring in reinforcements for this army at the same time. So he plays Power 2 Grey now. I think that makes sense. Better to play it now than because sometimes it's nice to like wait and bait the shadow player into moving their Nazgul over and then play Power 2 Grey. So that way, if they can't get rid of it or they really don't want to throw out a card, then they have to waste another die moving their leadership somewhere else if they want to attack somewhere else first. But the danger in that is if they play, Ring Wraiths or Abroad and get lucky and blow it up in 1 hit, then or in 1 attack anyway, then you lost your chance to play Power 2 Great. So okay, so I play Grond on Woodland Realm, play Desperate Battle, get my 2 hits, and he gets 2 hits back. So that's that. Maybe Grund was an overkill, but I don't know. It was a Palantir, and I had lots of cards to get through, so I don't know. It still let me use a Palantir to attack anyway. So. Okay, so now he's got We Prove the Swifter, Challenge of the King, Guards of the Citadel. Yeah, those are some fantastic Separate Strider and Crown Him kind of cards. Still no Wills of the West, though, huh? Oh, no, that's last turn's roll. Now he has a Will of the West. Okay. But of course, you also still want to get to Mordor this turn, naturally. So I hit and reveal him. He takes a random. Yeah, that's reasonable. I get the Saldarans to war. I guess I want to scare him that I have Day Without Dawn anyway. I don't know. And of course, I want to get them to war at some point anyway. So he hides. And right, so I'm moving on to Dale here. And now I have a Swarm of Bats. So I'm quite happy to use that against Dale. And yeah, I get the perfect combo. I get to cancel the Scouts, and I get a hit. So I get to take out that leadership and unit, not let it escape to Erebor. So here's another time where he used an H to hide, where I would have used a Palantir anyway. Because if he'd still had that H, then he could use that to get this unit in there. Um, um, so I remember it was a long pause of him saying a lot of different choices here. And I asked him to do the worst option possible. So he jokingly uses the Will of the West to muster the dwarves down to war. Obviously doesn't actually do that. That would be kind of a waste. Yeah. Right, so he still has the Will of the West, so he uses that to move the troops over and everything. So I get this army put together to get Erebor. I get these guys ready. He moves the Fellowship. He gets hit, but not revealed. So that's nice for me on the just in case I manage to draw into Cruel Weather. That's not. I have 2 Palantirs to draw cards with, so it's not impossible. But it's a 19 card deck anyway, so it's not super likely anyway. So I'm carrying. So I'm also hoping to cycle a card with the Witch King from attacking Erebor here. Yeah. I attack Erebor, and I specifically use a combat. I use a character card. I use Mourn with Sorrow and Toil for Words of Power here. I guess I kept on not quite pulling the trigger on playing it because I was worried about him declaring and getting rid of it. And Gimli left and Boromir's gone, so I'd only get 2 cards with it now anyway. So getting to cancel Gimli, makes my attack stronger anyway. I get 1 hit, about average. She gets none. That's lucky for me. He politely inquires about whether the dwarves are blind. I joke that it's because of the daylight, too much daylight hurts their poor eyes. And I get so lucky. I get Cruel Weather. I get the 1 in 19. To be fair, if I didn't get it there, I was going to use one of these to draw again. So I guess it would have been 1 in 19 and 1 in 18, but that's still super lucky right there. So he passes. I've got this big handful of cards, so I chuck Fighting Urukai and Dreadful Spells to get rid of Power 2 Great. Feels bad losing Fighting Urukai, but it was the only army card in my hand, and I didn't know what else I wanted to do with these Palantirs. So. So he spends a while thinking about whether to use a ring and move again, but ends up drawing a card. And I'm, of course, very happy that he doesn't move again, because now I can use Cruel Weather to stall for a whole turn. So it bit him this time, but that doesn't mean it was a poor choice. It's a game full of risks, and you gotta take gambles one way or the other. And drawing character cards, especially when there's like Mithril Coat, or there's another way out there, there's a lot of powerful cards that make a huge difference. And File's a big deal. So if I hadn't had Cruel Weather, that was, that's a very powerful use of that die. So I'd say a reasonable choice. I think he specifically mentioned in hindsight that he should have taken longer and done the math and just realized that getting into Mordor really was that important, and that he thinks he should have moved here. Yeah, so we talked for a bit about just how brutal it is that it can literally steal a whole turn from you as free people. It's like it's very cruel weather. Yeah. Okay, so I allocate 1 eye, roll 1 more. Obviously, he knows that I can't Cruel Weather him again. So all he needs to do is move once. So I haven't used Day Without Dawn yet. So this is a bit of a risky play, separating Strider here. But of course, there's still 15 cards out there, so it's more likely that I don't have it than that I do, I guess. So yeah, he separates Strider. Because you can crown him and still move the Fellowship once. That's reasonable. Muster an Oliphant. He crowns Aragorn. Muster another Oliphant. Fellowship. I get hit and revealed, so that's nice for me. I get to do more damage this way. He took 1 damage the first time, which makes sense. That way you're up to 4, so you're out of danger from Morgul Wound. And then he gets 1 and draws Legolas, so that feels bad. That's like 1 and 3 for it doing 2 damage anyway. So now I'm running. So with this army, I'm hoping to assassinate Aragorn in 1 turn here. just because that'd be really cool, you know. So like at this point, I'm forcing him to choose. He can either muster Gondor down, and then I'll attack, and then he'll get an elite, and I can put it under siege, or he can spend a ring, or for all I know, play Fear Fire Foes or Book of Mizarble, and just run away with Strider with Aragorn. So you know, chill in Rohan and maybe play Dead Men later. Um, yeah, so I don't know. Right. I also walked this orc over here just so that they can't muster in the Iron Hills later. So he goes for muster in Gondor, which is a reasonable choice because, of course, he didn't know that I had ring wraiths or abroad. So at best, anyway, it was without that card, it would have been move Nazgul, attack with a character die, use a ring to put it under siege this turn. So it's lucky for me that I had this anyway because it's essentially a 2-for-1 here. So I bring Nazgul and attack Osgiliath. I get to kill them both, so that's pretty lucky. So now Gondor's at war, and of course he musters an elite. So now I'm really excited. I get to put Minas Tirith under siege, and I get to play Denethor's Folly here, which I just picked up this turn, so that is also really lucky. And normally Denethor's Folly against Aragorn isn't that strong because, you know, the Free People's player can use any die to discard it. Whereas if there's no Aragorn or no Gandalf here, then they have to use a Will of the West. But because he's out of dice, I can attack with my last die here, and he can't do anything about it. Which is extra nice because I see that he has this huge mitt full of hands, like 5 character cards here, that you know might do cool things with Aragorn. Yeah, there's a sudden strike. Oh, and there's Guards of the Citadel he could play to reinforce. Yeah, or a Daring Defiance he could play. Yeah, and of course it kills the leadership, so that's nice. I attack Minas Tirith. And very fittingly, I open with the king is revealed, just because you know he just got crowned, and yes, I see that you're revealed. I'm going to come and try to kill you. Um, yeah, so I very sadly only get one hit. 5 50-50s, only one, and yeah, so I'm not super pumped about this start to the attack. He gets 2 hits back, so I don't know. I'm still in business. I keep pushing anyway. I draw into We Come to Kill, which is decent. You know, that's 3 elites here. So I'm pretty sure that's what I play next. I got 1 hit, so that's also kind of just okay. 2 hits back. Right, and I have to pick either losing an Oliphant and only getting 1 hit, or losing 2 regulars, so then I'd only have 4 combat dice next turn. And I think I'm going to play Deadly Strife next turn to try to finish it off. So anyway, but then my We Come to Kill gets 2 hits, so that's pretty lucky right there. That's like I think 1 in 9. So then I press and I play my Deadly Strife and I get my 3 hits. So that's a really cool combination of cards that like he didn't know I had Ring Racer Abroad and Denethor's Folly and these good combat cards, you know. Um, yeah, so that felt really cool. Just getting to immediately like, oh hey, there's Aragorn. Let's go get him, you know. Um, yeah. Okay. So he very sadly now he has throws out Guards of the Citadel and throws out Challenge of the King. Challenge of the King that he's had for so long, you know. And getting to play that when the Fellowship's in Mordor feels really good. You know, if you get to get rid of an eye or two, that helps a lot for sure. Okay, so he goes into Mordor. Um, Lots of movement for a start. Well, I guess 3 out of 5. You know, that's only slightly lucky. But, it draws a 2. That's probably like the best tile you could have asked for right there. You know, get to not get revealed, and you get rid of both your hobbits, so you can get down to Gollum. Very nice. Um, so I use a ring here to shuffle around my leadership. Because the question you always need to ask yourself when the Fellowship's in Mordor is if they can't win this turn, but they're going to be maybe close enough that they could win next turn, because he can move again and maybe even use a ring to move again. And he might have, there's another way. So there's a good shot that he could win next turn. So I need to ask, how could I win this turn? Um, and the answer for me here is I want to be able to take Erebor and take Lorien. Might take, 2 dice. Oh no, right. I think my hope here is 1 die for each because I need 3 dice, or maybe 2 dice anyway, to at least like 3 dice if I want to walk this army to take Pelargir, 2 dice if I want to take with this one. Or if I draw into Corsairs, I can take with 1 die. So he plays Ents, gets 2 hits. Another Ents card, and 1 hit. I think he's just chucking them because it doesn't feel like Rohan's about to be attacked, so you just might as well use them just in case. And then he gets to play Eagles Are Coming on Erebor, which is actually devastating to me. See, there's Gimli here, there's a companion, so he can play it. And it forces all my Nazgul to run away, and he kills 2 of them. And I don't have any other character dice or any Palantirs, even if I had a card that could let me move them. So that pretty much cooks my hopes for winning this turn. So we talked for a bit about, not sure if that's now or later, but I really should have put the Witch King here because he doesn't get blown away by the Eagles anyway. So then I still would have had a shot. So I go for Lorien. Always nice to have this card. And I get 3 hits with the Balrog. That's just, that's brutal. That feels really, really nice, getting 3 hits with the Balrog. And then I roll 2 6s. So just like that, kaboom, Lorien's gone. So if I still had a shot at taking Erebor, this was going perfectly in line with my plan, and now it, comically enough, gives me a card that would allow me to move my Nazgul back over there, but the Fellowship's in Mordor, so it doesn't work anymore. So he moves the Fellowship again, which makes sense. I'm happy to see that, 3 damage and a reveal that, slows him down, makes it less likely that he'll be able to get there next turn anyway. So I start running because I see I have 4 attacks, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's exactly enough to get Helm's Deep under siege with this, surprisingly strong army left in Lorien. So I'm forcing him to pick. He can use this with a ring to hide the Fellowship and improve his odds next turn, because you can only use 1 ring per turn. So you really want to use this ring now if you're going for a sprint anyway. Or he can use it to bring this army back and defend Helm's Deep. So I'm at least putting that pressure on him so he can't have his cake and eat it too. He has to, that saying doesn't make any sense, but I said it anyway. So here we are. So I shuffle my armies along. I'm threatening Helm's Deep. And he makes, I think, a decent choice of hiding the Fellowship instead. Because, he only needs 3 movement. And on 5 dice with a ring, that's not insane. You have Gollum, so these don't reveal you. Yeah, and if you have a Palantir, maybe you can chuck this in there first too. So, yeah, I think that's reasonable. And, like he said, Erebor's probably not going to hold up to all this. There's a lot of bodies here. So, yeah, I think that's a good choice. It's probably what I'd do too. So I attack Helm's Deep, of course, because that's 1 regular that's very free. And he draws Mithril Coat, which is huge. And I draw Nazgul Strike and Devilry Vorthank, so that's pretty useless. I guess Devilry Vorthank's okay over here in Helm's Deep. But also, of course, corruption is a valid way for me to win now. I don't know how that always happens, So he moves. Because a Day Without Dawn might still be out there, right? So that's reasonable. And I get lucky that it's an eye. So if he had There Is Another Way, it would still be possible for him to win this turn. Because he can hide with that Will of the West, move again with There's Another Way. If he doesn't get revealed, 1 last movement with the ring. So I don't know whether he can win or not, but he knows he can't win this turn anymore. So later he mentioned how he really should have used this Palantir to play Mithril Coat first, because he really needed all three movements to dodge reveals. Like that was his one shot at winning. So um, this turn anyway. Um, yeah, because even moving once, if I hit him with a Day Without Dawn now, he's still cooked. So one or both, he's still cooked this turn. So yeah, that's a reasonable line of thought. But I think I point out that going first, if I didn't have it but cycled into it, then this makes perfect sense. So that's the thing about this game. There's always more than one way that it makes sense. So I crack Helm's Deep with Great Host pretty easily, of course. So now that Rohan's at war, they just peace out. So they join Gandalf in Fangorn, and they're headed up towards Lorien. So what did I do here? Right, I move these orcs there so that they can get in to defend Lorien, and these orcs over here so that they take Edoras to get me up to 10 points. So he could muster up in Rohan and try to fight me, or bring this army over and try to fight me, but then this army, of course, can fight them. So that's, somewhat in my favor. Oh, yeah, I've got the mouth there, so I've got leadership, even if Gandalf shines. So, yeah. But yeah, he's just going for it to go and try to take back Lorien. And after I put those three regulars there, there's decent odds that I'll be able to hold that. He'll only have 2 rounds of combat, one to put me under siege, and then he'll have to use a ring to attack. Yeah. So with my other movement, I bring that elite over in case he does take back Lorien, and I need to try to take Erebor. So get back Lorien. And I ask if there's an evil version of Power Too Great that I can play. Use a ring. Right, I shuffle Nazgul here. Or I move leadership because I don't know. What else am I going to do? I'm just getting ready to attack Erebor in the case that it doesn't work. So he attacks Lorien because no point in waiting. If anything, waiting would let me cycle cards and maybe find better defensive cards. So yeah, he might as well take it now. He plays Círdan's ships here because I'm obviously not coming over here, so I guess that's not helpful. Yeah, none of the rest of these are helpful. So he gets a Prio. So he gets 1 hit, which is about average. It's 7 dice. 1 hit makes sense. I get 0 hits back, so that feels bad because doing hits back here would tremendously reduce his chances of winning. He presses. He needs 2 6s on 6 dice now, and he gets them. And I get 1 hit back, but that doesn't really matter. So he did it. The Rohirrim action managed to conquer Lorien to pull him back. So now the question is, with these dice and these cards, can I take Erebor? If I can take Erebor here, I win. If not, we go to another round, and he has, once again, decent odds of winning next turn. So he uses Daring Defiance to cancel my card. I think my plan was I was going to use Onslaught here to not only cycle a card, but also to burn through a bunch of these regulars. And then I was going to shuffle units over and then use the Palantir with the ring as an attack. But I'm just realizing how cooked I would have been because I already used a ring this turn. Wow, I almost ruined the game right there. Oh, that would have been funny. Anyway, so he cancels my card, forfeiting Gimli's leadership. But I just roll 2 6s anyway, so that's I'm happy with that. And he rolls only 1 hit back. I press here because I still want to. I remember I was still thinking I still want to lose more regulars here before I bring in backup. I draw a card here. Then I play Relentless Assault because again I'm trying to burn through regulars here. So I get 2 hits. Relentless Assaults did not do well for me this game. He gets 1 back. I figure at this point I might as well press because there's only 1 regular left, so all I need is that 1 hit. So I'm figuring at this point I might as well just press and then keep attacking with my other dice here. Um, so I'll probably play Swarm of Bats this time. Right, he still has no cards, so yeah, Swarm of Bats. I get my one hit, and that's GG. Um, yeah, so that feels good. I'm taking it to game three anyway. Definitely feels a lot nicer than getting swept. Um, yeah, I commented like it was not a good start. I was definitely scared for the first half. Um, yeah, yeah. So he mentions that he thinks he should have used that Will of the West, where he shuffled armies. He thinks he should have used that to move. Um, I think I agree with that. If he'd used the Palantir to hide, and then used H to also shuffle armies, and then use that W to move, I think that would have been the best use that turn. But hey, you gotta pick your way somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, so he shows the strong cards that he had that if they had been a bit better might have helped him a lot. But right, yeah, and here we talk about how I should have brought the Witch King over to avoid getting chewed away by eagles. Yeah, this was a huge win for me. Like just because he swept me in the semifinals last year, um, getting swept again this time. At least just winning one game, even if I lose now, that feels so much better losing 2-1 than 2-0. Yeah. Anyway, let's look at statistics. So +2 on fives, sixes, and fours for me. That's not bad. -5 on sixes for him. You know that's not usually what decides the game, but it's still nice for me as Shadow. +3 on C's for him. That also, yeah, Fellowship was moving fast. Yeah, and pretty standard rolls for me. So yeah, I think a fairly even game. Turn 8 where the Fellowship's close and Shadow gets military victory. That's pretty standard anyway. Yeah. So yeah, that is the game. Um, yeah, I'm excited to give you coverage of Game 3. Have a good one. Bye.